Hey, and we're live. This is Jay Skinner, and you're on the Buyers and Sellers pre-show. And we'll just wait and let people get on. While we're here, we'll have a little bit of fun, and I'll play some excerpts from some past shows that might just be interesting or fun for you too. Here we go. So, know the signs of procrastination, and then get away from that. Start doing those steps that I showed you above, and realize that even half of something is more than 100% of nothing. And if you can honestly say in your own heart, what I've been doing is not directly generating any income, it's not making any new customers, it's just more feel good and fooling yourself that you've got a bunch of friends and we're all talking about this stuff and we're all world-class experts. Hey, there's a little short right there. How about this one? Actually producing something. And so make sure whatever you're doing that ties back to actually producing something, and it's not an endless cycle of just spinning the wheel. That's so important.
I love it. I love it, Jay. I love it, Jay. I was on a show last week and we got talking about the buying the zero down business, and it's the same thing.
There we go. Well, now you all know that this right here is what it looks like in my office today after I moved, and we're in the process of building a new house, and that's going to happen for actually the next, we'll say 7 to 10 months. In the meantime, you'll probably see some changes behind me, maybe some remote locations for my show. And most of all, I just want to thank you for being here with the Buyers and Sellers Show. Now, I go live every Friday morning at 10:35 a.m., and that's where we are right now. And so thank you so much for showing up. I'm Jay Skinner, and remember the silver rule. It says, do unto your vendors as you want your customers to do unto you. Think about that. And the green rule is do for yourself what you're asking others to pay you to do for them. So important. Of course, I'm always available at your service. There's my phone number, my email, jay@thejayskinner.com, thejayskinner.com, and would encourage you to always be there and be my friend. And some of you might say, well, where's the music? Where's your piano work? Well, that's coming. I'll figure out a way to get some of that in there as well in the future. In the meantime, the topic today it was very timely for people. End of the year, a lot of times people are thinking about changing their jobs, what they're going to do, what they like, what they don't like. And some of you people are business owners. You have employees. You have people that work with you or for you. And sometimes it's just not the greatest ever. And I'm going to say some things today that might give you pause, the opportunity to think about some things, because the way that you treat your employees and that the managers or the people under you treat employees and work and behave all goes into retention and whether or not your employees even want to stay. And are they spending the year end here, the last quarter of the year, looking for another job and wanting to start out new next year so they can give you notice at Christmas and start somewhere else in January? And remember, when people change jobs, they're not ordinarily quitting the business or the job in general, but they're quitting their manager. They're quitting the sense of self-worth and the goodness that they feel when they come to work. They are trying to get away from the dread that they have in the morning when they wake up and they're supposed to go into work or get in front of the computer and do their job. But based upon their relationship with their manager, they're not loving it. It's not working for them. And in some cases, someone told them that they can go into business for themselves and life will be great. And so all of a sudden that starts to look real good, even though they don't know what they're getting into. Now, if you go back to some of my past shows, you'll see there's one with my son, Eli Skinner. And the title of the show was something like So you want to go into business for yourself, and then you do, and you find out, well, it's not quite what you expected, and your boss is a jerk. Of course, you're working for yourself. We find out even when we go into business for ourselves that there's issues and things to deal with. But certainly, sometimes it's easier to take care of yourself than have someone else take care of you. And if they're not being nice, then you'll be finding yourself encouraged by your loved ones and others to get out of there. Now, if you're the boss, what are you going to do? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to think of what your management style is. Really, how do you approach things, and what is the philosophy of the company that you're in? And so many times when I ask this question of a manager or a CEO, a president, a business owner, say, well, what's your management style? How do you manage and work with your employees, and how is that defined within the organization? And when you hire managers or people, like, let's say you're the owner of a company, now you're growing and good things are happening, and so you're the CEO. Now you want to hire some other people to handle different divisions of your company, and maybe you've got one division that does this, another division that does that, another one there, and you need heads of that, and you call them presidents or whatever you want to call them. Are you finding out what their management style really is and how that they work? Because you just built this business as an entrepreneur, and it was a very, what they call, flat organization, and everybody would talk to you about everything. So now you get second level management, regardless of where you can be the CEO, they're the president, they're running a new org. They could be called general manager. The titles are like, they don't always mean as high up as people want to think they are, but what they are would be managers of divisions. And then the people that are working in those divisions that used to report to you directly, what about that? Tell me. How do they feel when they can't just pick up the phone and say, hey, Rob, hey, John, they're talking to the owner of the company like they did for the last 5 years. Now they got to call Jerry or Martha, who's the new president or general manager or whatever she is, and have some conversations that they used to have with you. Or when you walk through the store and people come talk to you and they want to enjoy that time. And of course, you want to say hi to them and talk to them, and they want to issue some of their concerns and problems. What happens? Does your new manager or general manager or president or whoever's, operating officer or whoever is, running that new division, that new area of your company for you, so that to allow you to free yourself up, are they going to be mad about that because those people came and talked directly to you and they didn't follow chain of command? So that's one of the very first things I want to talk to you today about. And I'm very interested in your comments, because chain of command is that way of operating in an organization that, when I think of, is very military. And sometimes people get into a chain of command situation and they feel like if they talk to someone above their manager, they're in trouble. Well, we're in a world, and it's really, who wants to be in trouble? We all want to talk to one another and be successful. And I think a very strict chain of command type organization doesn't work very well. And I'll tell you, I don't think it works very well anywhere. And people have to suck it up, swallow hard a lot, and then they go home and kick the cat, yell at their wife or their spouse. Well, I believe in what I call a modified chain of command, where, especially if you were an entrepreneur and they're beginning to add other people to help manage other areas of your company to free you up to be more of the visionary that you are, to cut it off and nobody's allowed to talk to you again is pretty bad. And for you to actually enforce that level of, cut off communication and no more acting like and care about your employees. Well, if you actually cut that off and act like that, it's going to be a sad day for everyone. And for you, because you want to be able to walk around and kind of get the scoop on how things are going. Now, my experience has been that if you do a modified chain of command, and you explain to your entire organization how you're organizing for this change of new people in your organization that are going to be in management positions over folks that you previously managed yourself, and help them all understand that there's still a dotted line to you and there's communication available, but you want them all to help you build this thing out so that the overall organization will not suffer and can continue to grow. Because if you don't, it won't grow, you'll stagnate. And then when you're not growing, you're going down, which you know. So if you help everybody understand why you need to grow the organization in a way with new managers under different divisions, then people can get on board with it. But if something happens and they just need to talk to you, or you're in the store and you're talking to people, or you're in the office and you're talking to people, these new managers don't need to feel either threatened or upset or worried. They just need to flow with it and be thankful that they're in the position that they're in to work together with you and all the employees in this transition, understanding that because of you as the owner of the company and entrepreneur style individual, you're always going to have your hand in the communication and knowing what's going on. You need to. And quite frankly, if you're not still watching all those checks and paying attention to the money going in and out at the accounting level and also the other expenditure levels and the revenue level, and keeping an eye on all the things that you used to look at, but instead of every single individual action, have a few KPIs or key performance indicators for the things that you need to watch to make sure you're going to hurt yourself. Or in the worst case scenario, if you happen to get someone in there that's doing bad things, those things can happen. You never catch it until it's too late. So as the entrepreneur, one is you were a flat organization before. Now you put in some organization and mid-level management to help build the organization out more so that you can delegate and you can be more of a visionary. You have to do that to grow. But keep your eye on it and have a few 5 or 10 key product performance indicators that you watch just to make sure things are going well, and always keep the door open and the communication line open with your old employees and new people that come in, and be available. If you shut down the communication between yourself and the people that are really doing the work and your customers, you're hurting yourself. And you managers that have been brought in a situation like this, you need to just recognize that the employees always want to talk to their old boss. They always want to be in touch with him. They grew up that way and they understand the value of it and makes them feel good and important. And you as an employee know what I'm talking about. Don't lose that. Encourage it. Don't be threatened. Merge in and be part of the team and help guide the entire team. Now, chain of command, you tell them, and the boss needs to tell them, I want you to go to Mark, our new operations guy, or our new president, or our new general manager for all this. And at the same time, I love to hear what's going on when we run into each other. And if you have a situation that you cannot take to Mark, then of course I want to hear about it. And Mark, you're just going to have to suck it up if you're the new manager, because sometimes people just want to talk to the old boss. It's okay. Don't be threatened, and don't do any stupid things that would cause them to want to go to the old boss to begin with. How about that? By the way, if you have any comments, everyone, please jump right here under comments and say something. I'm going to type something here in case you haven't seen it. VJSkinner.com. There's my website. https:// / this should get you there. See how that works, at least. There we go. I've shoot this in here and you'll see this website link in there, and maybe that'll work on a click. But most of all, I want everyone to see this so that you can know where to comment. And I want everyone to jump in there and be sure and say hi. Anyway, now when we're talking about chain of command and the modified one, where it's not so strict that you just, as the owner of the company, won't talk to anyone, just make sure everyone understands the philosophy that you're working under. And this is not something you just do one time as you make the changes and forget it after that, but you reinforce it in annual meetings and so forth, so that everyone understands that your chain of command and you want people to follow it, but at the same time, you want people to be able to talk and break the walls down between divisions and between departments so that everyone can communicate with everyone and work together, rowing in the same direction for the benefit of the organization and to feel good and important and a part of the team. There you go. Number 2, Radical Candor. Now, there's an author named Kim Scott. Kim Scott, and she's the one that's the person that invented Radical Candor, and I want you to look her up. She's got books, she has training. Kim Scott's really smart, and what the idea behind Radical Candor was creating a situation where you care personally and you deal with situations directly. And probably one of the easiest ways to understand about Radical Candor would be just to go to her website. And we're going to do that right now. I'm going to pop that in here and share the screen. There we go. And I want you to see this because it's extremely valuable. And Kim's kind of become a friend. One of these days, she may be on my show. She's a great author. She speaks well, and she trains organizations in this idea of radical candor and how to have a management structure where you care for people personally, but you deal and challenge directly situations. And it makes for a real nice situation. It really does when you combine a modified chain of command along with radical candor. I like it, and that's what I use when I'm doing my work. So let's just share that for a minute, and you all can take a look at what I'm talking about. Boom, add that to the stage. Now, this is that website. I'm going to make it a little larger, maybe make it easier to see. Let's see if I can do that. Pop. There we go. That might make it even easier to read. And the idea is what is radical candor? And you can see the I gave you the website earlier. Kim Scott talks about it right here. She's got a real nice 6-minute discussion on it. But the idea is you challenge directly and you care personally. And I love these kind of grids here to explain where your personal caring is very high. You're challenging situations directly and being extremely honest with people. That's radical candor. Now, if you challenge directly, but you don't care personally, that is called obnoxious aggression. That's in the lower left-hand side, lower right hand as you're looking at it. That's obnoxious aggression. It's not about being a jerk. Then if you have no direct challenging, and no caring, it's manipulative insincerity. That's where you're saying and doing things just to try to get people to do stuff, and you neither care or you don't even deal directly and positively and honestly with people. And the other part is if you're on the high end but not challenging directly, but you a lot of care, it's what they call ruinous empathy. And that's where people say you're very caring, you're like a friend, you're wonderful, but you don't say anything directly to me about what I'm doing or how I'm doing. And when that happens, they call that ruinous empathy. But if you challenge directly and you give great, good forward feedback, and you care personally to individuals, they love it, and everyone's going to be happier in their relationships at work. And when they go home, they're going to be like happy to come back to work. And on the modified chain of command, they know, well, who's in charge and who's the boss and who's in charge of things. However, they also know that they can feel free to go around as they need to in order to get things done. Now, when I say that in a modified chain of command, if someone decides they don't even want to deal with their manager ever again and they hate them and they're stupid or whatever their problem is, and they decide, well, I'm just going to always go to my boss. Well, that's going to get old and it's going to defeat the purpose of having mid-management there so that the owner or the entrepreneur or the CEO can do his or her work of being the visionary and growing the company and doing the kinds of things that they're really good at. So as I talk about the ability to go and talk to the entrepreneur owner around your manager, or talk to people in other areas and divisions, don't overdo that. If you have a sense that everything is a mess and you have to constantly be going around, then that's the conversation you need to be having. And then chances are, if it's generally working for everybody else but not for you, then it might be time for you to find someplace else. On the other hand, if you're identifying a new problem or something that everyone's aware of but no one says anything, then your communication with the owner of the company could be exactly what's needed in order to rectify the situation. Wow. How about that for some good conversation? Now, here's the other area. We talked about chain of command. Besides Radical Candor, which I want you to look up, look at this next one. What is chain of command? And it's interesting, when I began to type that in there, I got one I'm going to show you on this site here. I'm going to show you exactly what it is defined by, and can you believe it? It came up on the Indeed job site. And it was so good explaining it. I want you to know how to get there and take a look here. I'm going to add this to the stage. What is chain of command? Click right there. And you can see it's indeed.com career-advice-career-development / chain of command. And that's in right here. And what is it? And most of us understand this, the boss-employee relationship and how that's talked about and dealt with. And in its purest form, how in some ways it can be very difficult and challenging, especially if you've got a power-seeking boss kind of person. But the traditional chain of command structure, and the CEO holds the position at the top of the chain, and individuals report to the next person above them. Upper man, it describes what you and I already understand. But at the top, this hierarchical organization can be difficult for people if they're having trouble and they need to go around, or they just need that feeling that they're in touch with the owner periodically. There's a number of things to think about. So that's another thing to think about too, and that has to do with increased efficiency, dealing with direct supervisors versus going above them. I mean, the problems in chain of command. That's why I want you to modify it a little bit rather than being so regimented and militaristic. I think the idea of it makes sense, but in practice, without some modifications, it can be a really sad day, especially for performers or for people who dream and think and are concerned about the welfare of everyone around them, and they have a 360-degree vision about what they're doing and where they're going and how they operate. If they don't have the opportunity to exercise some of that, and now I'm going to refer back to 6 types of working genius as a way to consider that as well, they're going to be really unhappy. So what happens when you got really unhappy employees? Well, we know it's not a good day. So we talked about management styles, how to work with your employees to achieve greater success and overall happiness for everyone. What's the answer? Modified chain of command with a mix of radical candor. Can you do that? Can you do that? I want everyone to think about this, especially the business owners. And this is an area for you. The last word I have for you is, if you don't say it verbally to your employees as part of regular meetings and get-togethers and team meetings, and really reinforce the philosophy that you're trying to build in your organization, you don't have one. You simply don't have one. You can say at lunch with one person how you do this and that, and you believe this, that, and that, all these great things. But if it's not communicated through the organization and lived out in your life and the life of the managers and the people around you, it's not happening. It's just hypocrisy. And I know you don't want that, but you're going to have to do something to prevent it. Make happier employees, happier you, more successful business. And what about the customers? Happier, more interested customers. The envy your organization, and they'll figure out ways to buy more from you just to be around you and your employees that are building this fantastic, strong management organization that combines caring personally, dealing with people directly, and respecting chain of command in a beautiful way. Well, everyone, you've just been on with me, Jay Skinner. I am the CEO Extender. You know that I am the plastic pallet guy, work in industry. There's a lot of things I can do, but I help business owners get things done, and continue to do that to this day through multiple means. But one of the things is be a dreamer and believe in what you're doing. If you can't believe in it, find something else. And at the same time, wherever it is you are, do it as unto the Lord. Do awesome things. And as we speak about that, Christmas is coming up here in a few days. And if you're watching a replay, today is December 22, 2023. And this date may mean something special to you in the future. Remember this date, and see you next Friday, same time, same channel. Love you. This has been the Buyers and Sellers Show, and have a great day. And I'll tell you what, why don't I sing you out right here with a little Jeremiah was a bullfrog. We could have some fun. This will be really good. Bang. And we're live. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. He was a good friend of mine. Never understood a single word he said, but I always helped him drinking his Coke. You know, he always had a mighty fine Coke. I'm singing joy to the world. All the boys and girls now. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. If I was the king of the world, I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd throw away the cars and the bars and the wars and sing sweet songs to you. Oh yes, I'd sing sweet songs to you. I'm singing joy to the world, all the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me.